Hello, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising. Welcome to my channel. It is such a blessing to be here with you, so thank you for being here with me for your February 2024 recap. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to connect with you today. In the description box below, you will find links to information on personal readings, this All Good membership channel on Telegram, and ways to support the work I do here if you would like to explore any of those options. You will also find a timestamp if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. Please do keep in mind this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so use your discernment and take only what resonates with you. If you find that something shared does resonate, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, comment below, and or share this content as it tells YouTube that there may be something valuable here for someone else, which is a gift to both this channel and to others as well, and I greatly appreciate that support. So February 2024 brought for us the meeting of Chiron and the North Node, which inspired us to recognize and accept our wounds and activate our own healing. It encouraged us to forge a new path forward, utilizing the wisdom, knowledge, and intuitive truths we've gained to align us with our higher calling. So for this recap, we are going to be looking at the overall energy of the month, what realizations or epiphanies February brought for you, how this will impact your journey moving forward, and getting some messages or advice to best support and serve you, moving forward. So Taurus, let's dive in and see what we have for you. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Christ, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, tell us about the overall energy of February 2024 for Taurus. Thank you. Tell us, please, what realizations or epiphanies, all right, thank you. Tell us, please, how will this impact Taurus moving forward? Thank you. What messages or advice will best support and serve Taurus moving forward, please? Thank you. All right. What else do we need to know, please, about the overall energy for Taurus? What else do we... Oh, my Lord. I'm going to go again. Oh, there it is. Thank you. What else do we need to know, please, about how this will impact? All right. And what other messages or advice will best support and serve Taurus moving forward, please? Thank you. All right. Anything else we need to know, please, about the overall energy of... Thank you. Anything else we need to know, please, about the realizations or epiphanies February brought for Taurus? Thank you. Anything else we need to know, please, about how this will impact Taurus moving forward? Thank you. And any other, thank you. All right. The overall energy of February 2024 for you, Taurus, we do have here law of divinity. Within you is the same source that created the entire universe. Okay, so for some of you, I feel like your connection with God has changed. Maybe you call it source, maybe you call it universe, maybe you call it the divine. I don't know, whatever label you want to slap on there. I call it God, so that's what I'm going to refer to it as. But insert your word there, okay? I feel like some of you, your relationship with God has changed. For some of you, there's a strengthening. I don't know if this is because for some reason I'm getting like some kind of big life event. I don't know what that might be. Certainly it will be different for those that it resonates with. But it feels like there's been some kind of big life change or life event or something that has taken place that has really altered your perspective on God and deepened your relationship with God in some way, shape, or form. For others of you, I feel as though there's been this some kind of light switch, some kind of switch that has been flipped, where you are starting to recognize your own divinity, right? Where you are, and let me just back up for a moment, because for those of you who have strengthened your connection with God in some way, shape, or form, I feel like it's strengthened your, how do I say, it has changed how you perceive yourself as well, because you now recognize God in yourself in a very different way. Okay, but coming back to those that maybe have just started to or have started to recognize their own divinity, I feel like I'm seeing someone like who maybe was walking like kind of slouched or something, almost as if you've been carrying, almost like you had like weight on your shoulders or something. All of a sudden, like perk up, straighten up, because I feel like you are now carrying yourself in a much different way. Regardless of whether you had a big life event happen or not, I feel like there's something that has happened. Something that has happened that has really shifted your perspective. Maybe, oh wow, that's interesting. Maybe for some of you, you did not believe you had a soul, and now you do, because of whatever this event was, or whatever experience you had that brought this forward. Yeah, it's really interesting because it feels quite sudden, or out of nowhere for some of you. For some of you, maybe you were backed into a corner in some way, shape, or form, and your only option, maybe you felt like, was to pray or to cry out to God, and something happened. I don't know. I don't know what this is, but it feels like for some of you, something happened where your perception of God has changed significantly. And it's almost been like overnight, or like just like that. Like it's happened that fast. And I feel like it's interesting because in this card here, this woman she's looking to the side, almost as if she's getting ready to look back. But I feel like for those of you that resonate with this, it's like there's no turning back. Because whatever this is has been profound and significant for you. Again, maybe some of you didn't believe you had a soul, or something, or maybe you were an atheist or something like that, and now all of a sudden you have this belief in God, which I think is really powerful. Based on my membership readings, we did have a chunk of time there, and I still feel like this is continuing, just in a different way than what I'm picking up here. But we did have this chunk of time where it just felt like God is just reaching out to people and really drawing them close, and really changing lives. So that could have been something. I was being reminded of that for a reason. So I feel like there's something there about that. I'm gonna read from the guidebook for you on this card. Just what is it? The message? Yeah, just the message. Because I feel like it's going to bring a little bit of clarity for someone, or maybe a few of you. So interesting. I don't know who this is for or what this is about, but the 15th of the month may be significant for some of you for February. It's interesting. These are not things that I typically would pick up, so that's really fascinating to me. But for some reason, I feel like maybe the 15th is important. Um, yeah, 15th of February, or the date, the 15th. I don't feel like it's anything else. I don't feel like it's, like just an address or nothing like that. It feels like the date, the 15th. Something about the 15th is important for someone. So the message here for you is you are divinity in disguise, a god and goddess pretending to be asleep. By drawing this card, your higher self desires for you to stop playing the fool. Let go of anyone or anything that is bringing you down. It is time, it is time you awaken to the actuality of who you are, a divine, all-powerful, spiritual being. You will receive a sign within the next 24 hours from the universe of your greatness. It is time for you to rise and shine. All right, so yeah, if you experience a sign within 24 hours, holy crap, I would love to know that in the comments below. But I really feel like what's significant about this is it does seem to me like it's almost like someone shook you awake, right? Like you were resting, you were sleeping, and when someone comes and wakes you up and it's like, oh, that's what it feels like to me. It feels like you went from one way of being to another quite suddenly. Let's see what else you have. I want to see what else is here. The law of action. Get out of your comfort zone and take bold action today. I'm very fascinated by the fact that you have these two doorways or archways, and both of them are similar in their construction. I think that's really quite fascinating. And in one card over here, it appears that there's this giant moon, and in another, there's a crescent moon. So I do feel like you've had some kind of realization. You've seen through some sort of illusion, some sort of confusion, some sort of misunderstanding or misinterpretation or fear or something, and have gained clarity in some way, shape, or form. And I do feel like for many of you, this is likely something to do with your perceptions of God. And I don't mean that from a religious place, though, that if that is your cup of tea, very well, but it doesn't have to be that way. Okay, I just feel as perhaps, okay, that's interesting. For some of you, perhaps you had this perspective of God that was very dogmatic, and something has taken place where you now are seeing that from a very different light. Perhaps you were closed off to God previously, and again, whatever it was that took place, you've now opened up to it because I feel like it's a whole new perspective. And certainly, this get out of your comfort zone. I feel like, yeah, I feel like that rings incredibly true for the energy I'm picking up on, or for whoever this is for, because it does feel as though whatever this switch was really, I feel like it surprised you even for some of you. I feel as though because it is something so different, it is something that has been so foreign to you. Maybe you like woke up one day and was like, I think I'll go to church. I don't know what it is, but it feels as though there's been a pretty big shift. And from moving from, like, let's say inside that doorway to the outside, if you will, or crossing that threshold, I feel like created tremendous change for you in the month of February. This is really interesting. I'm very drawn to this whole kind of idea of seeing things in a much clearer way. It's like somebody, like, again, kind of like rubbed the sleep from your eyes or took off the glasses or something, because she has on this white dress in the Law of Divinity card, and the wolf's eyes in the Law of Action are white. They're pure white. So again, I just feel like there's some kind of clarity. You're seeing the world with new eyes. You are seeing yourself perhaps with new eyes. Let's see what else you have here. Saturn, discipline, obstacles, boundaries. Yeah, it's interesting because I was picking up that whole kind of energy of being backed in a corner and maybe like crying out to God or praying or, what have you. For some of you, maybe you actually saw God work in your life by clearing some of these obstacles out of the way, or perhaps you were, how would I say it, like encouraged to get out of your comfort zone, and the obstacles or restrictions that you were once experiencing were, kind of just, how do you say it, like they just kind of dissipated. And that may be something that really triggered this change of heart for you in some way. Interestingly, for others of you, I feel like you you may have left a certain group or like a community or a circle or something, created some kind of boundary, and through that, how do I say this, because it almost feels like being in this certain group, whatever this is, whether it's like a friendship circle or a community or a living situation or something, it almost feels like once you removed yourself from that, you were able to see things very differently, because I feel like whatever this is was polluting your perspective, clouding. It's almost like somebody had like the blanket over your eyes or something. And then once you stepped out of that, it was like things became clear. And I keep getting this energy of, so you have here, right, get out of your comfort zone and take bold action, and here we have discipline, because I feel like for some of you this like was your intuition speaking, or maybe you felt it was God speaking to you, or what have you, and you were encouraged to do something that perhaps you've never done before, right, to be bold in some way or courageous in some way, and it feels like following that, being what we would call maybe like obedient or something, it feels like that created or that could have created a massive shift if you resonate with that. So clearing something out of the way, creating something, making, putting you in a position to see yourself very differently. Very interesting. It's not typically how I would see Saturn, so that's quite fascinating to me. You have here as well Sagittarius, adventurous, free, philosophical. Yeah, it's really fascinating, right? Because you have obstacles here, and we have this freeing or freedom or, free type of energy here. I am getting fear as well. I feel like February 2024 for you, the overall energy was really bringing in perhaps where you've been living in a box, which is interesting because this energy has been showing up in other of these recaps, as well as in my membership group as well. So I do feel like there's essentially like the bird has been set free from the cage, and if you are, Aries, something else, right? Sun, moon, rising. You've heard this already. But I feel as though, yeah, it really is bringing this very kind of whole new look on life, this whole new outlook on life. It really does feel very kind of optimistic and expansive, and again, adventurous. It's so this is a weird way to put this. You guys that may have heard this before, like the whole Pringles thing, right? Like once you pop, the fun don't stop kind of thing. Um, or you can't just have one, right? I feel like for some of you, this, however this is unfolded, And if you resonate with this, I feel like once you stepped through that threshold, it was like, now I just want to keep going. Right now, I just want to keep moving forward. I just want to see where this takes me. I want to see, because I feel as though it's created such a massive shift and such a freeing feeling. Right before, yeah, okay, it almost feels like maybe you felt like you were like trapped in your body, you were uncomfortable in your own skin. This is so fascinating. It's very much like Aries. Maybe you felt like you were suffocating wherever you were, right? Very restricted or restrained or powerless or something. And whenever this switch went off, whatever it was that, brought that forward, it feels as though all of a sudden, where there were once like all these obstacles and fences and doors and things like this, like things have just kind of opened up. And it feels to me almost like before maybe you felt as though you were living in a prison, and now all of a sudden you just feel super free, like the world is your oyster. Very interesting. You have here deep replenishment, retreat, rest, be held. This is a reoccurring energy and has been on my membership channel for some time. This also came up in the Aries reading as well, or the Aries recap as well for this month. So I feel like this is probably an energy that's just circulating through the collective. But it's interesting because in your case, Taurus, I feel as though this whole energy of like replenishment it's not the same. So Aries was more about giving back to yourself, them giving back to themselves. But this feels almost like this freeing feeling has just filled your cup, right? It's almost like somebody switched out the batteries. That's what it feels like to me. And perhaps it feels this way to you as well, right? Where before maybe you just kind of felt like life was dull, or again like you were living in a prison of some kind, and it's like, what's the point in having all this energy, or kind of just, I don't even know how to explain it. It just feels very kind of, and now it's like new life, like you've been replenished, like there's new life in you. And perhaps this is because there's been a realization that God is within you. Christ is within you. Again, you can look at this however you choose. That's just how I view things, okay? As more of like a Christian mystic. But yeah, it just feels like new life has been breathed into you. And it's interesting too because the Saturn card came out first, and you may have seen me kind of playing with this a little bit over here, but the Saturn card came out before the Sagittarius card, and for some reason I put them down that way. There's something interesting here because I feel like for some of you, maybe you felt as though, how do I say this? We have a lot of programming. This is for everyone in general, of being, kind of infantile, small, hopeless, like, you're only one person, blah, blah, blah. And for whatever reason, it feels like this whole kind of realization that, oh, wait, I have God within me, or, the same source that created the entire universe is within me, has set you free. Where previously you were like confined by, your humanness, let's say, your humanity. Now it feels like it's changed. It feels like you've taken off, like this kind of false identity, if you will. You have just say, yes, that's beautiful. Yeah, I feel like the overall energy again, right? It's like get out of your comfort zone, take bold action. And I feel like for some of you, there was this just, okay, I'm doing it, right? Like, this is what I feel like I need to be doing, so I'm just going to do it. And I feel like maybe you looked at it as an adventure, or perhaps it felt incredibly freeing for you to do that. Right? Because I feel like the overall energy is just has just kind of encouraged you to just, get out of your comfort zone. Like um step outside your fences, as it were. Cross that boundary, cross that threshold, like go where no man has gone before, or woman, type of thing, right? That's what it feels like to me. It feels very expansive. It feels like, you were kind of playing small. And the overall energy of February seems to have brought forth this expansion, right? Where you're like filling up space, you're taking up space. And I don't know why, but for some of you, I'm getting like the two S's, right, for Saturn and Sagittarius are standing out to me very, very, very boldly, right? They're kind of like yelling at me, if you will. So for some of you, I don't know who it's for. Maybe your initials are SS or something. I don't know what it is, but for some of you, the letter S may be significant, especially if it's repeated. We also have here for you the ever unfolding rose, cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. Interesting, right? Because I said get out of your comfort zone, like the bird being set free from the cage, and here you have cracked open. I really feel like it's a whole new world, Aladdin. That's how I feel. That's what the overall energy feels like for you for February, right? It feels like you've stepped into a whole new way of being, a whole new reality. And for some of you, I feel like perhaps before this shift, where maybe you were experiencing more of those obstacles or restrictions or things like this, maybe it felt very heavy, very I'm actually getting the word like crisis. Maybe you felt like you were in a crisis, or something like that. And then now I feel like there's this, oh, had I not experienced that, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. Right? Like maybe there's some kind of realization of the significance of the events leading up to, this feeling of being more free, of, kind of releasing yourself, of getting out of your comfort zone. And maybe for some of you, you've realized that you have been keeping you there, which is really interesting also. I also feel, I don't know, you guys, I'm not really, I'm I am a beginner in astrology. Okay, I'm like astrology 101 type thing. But for some of you, perhaps your Saturn placement is important. Um, I don't know if Saturn is in Sagittarius for you, or if you have a lot of Sagittarius in your chart, or if Saturn's the ruler of your chart. Again, I don't know a whole lot about this, but it's just coming in, so I'm just sharing it. Okay. Let's take a look at the realizations or epiphanies that came through for you. The law of neutrality, practice non-reaction, and staying in equanimity. So again, this came through for Aries. Um, it's interesting because this came through for Aries in a much different way. I feel like for you, Taurus, this whole kind of practice non-reaction, I feel like I don't know why, but it feels like maybe you were passive before. Where maybe you were just kind of, how do I say, like maybe you just didn't care. I don't know why it's coming through this way. Like okay, because neutrality is a good place to be, right? Right, true blue down the middle, like that's a good place to be. But I feel like there's sometimes where we can be in that state almost to our detriment because we're just kind of staying the same. Do you know what I mean? Like we're kind of stagnant. Um, and I feel like for some of you, maybe this is a realization you had, where it's like I'm just kind of letting this be what it is. Like I'm just letting my life kind of be this way. Maybe I don't know how to explain it because it feels like perhaps for some of you, you thought you were doing, the best thing by kind of just being in this neutral state or whatever. And somewhere, maybe you came to the realization that you were just resistant to change or stubborn or I don't know, something like that. It's really quite interesting how this is coming through because I don't think I've ever got that with this card, so it's interesting. Maybe you just realized that being in that neutral state wasn't serving you. You have here as well the law of perfect health. Listen to the divine guidance within your body. Interesting. You do have this retreat, rest, be held. Did you experience some health things in the month of February, Taurus? And there was also that energy of like just feeling very kind of bleh, like very, not with it. So perhaps your body was speaking to you. I don't know if you experienced some kind of health thing. Maybe that's where that cry out to God comes from for someone. Maybe it's for someone very, very specific. But I think that's incredibly fascinating. I mean, look at even there. It's interesting too. The similarity between the two figures on these cards is really quite interesting to me, right? Because it feels like perhaps, I don't know, maybe some changes in your body or with your health or something like triggered something for you. And I'm getting fear. Perhaps it caused you to create some kind of change like overnight, like really fast. Let's see. I want to see what else you have because this is really quite fascinating. You also have, okay, you also have square, competition, tension, disharmony. Yeah, okay. So perhaps in your body, right? I don't know. Maybe there were things going on. Disharmony, imbalance, right? Which causes dis-ease. And illness. I'm not a doctor. I cannot, do not, will not give medical advice. But I feel like for some of you, perhaps there was, this imbalance going on within your body. And perhaps you had this realization, perhaps you had this epiphany that it was something, an imbalance going on within your energy, right? That was creating this dis-ease, this tension in your body. Perhaps this stemmed from, your body speaking to you, your intuition, encouraging you to, I don't know, maybe see a doctor or something. I'm very, very drawn to like your physical health and some kind of realization or epiphany around that and its connection to your energy, to your emotions, to, your mind. Again, maybe you started praying. This is wild. Let's see. Let me see. What else do you have here? Lilith, power, activism, vengeance. These are some pretty heavy energies that I'm picking up on. Okay, okay, okay. So I don't know who this is for. This seems like it's for somebody really specific. But it feels like for somebody, maybe you had some kind of health diagnosis or something and like refused to take that for an answer. Like because I got the word like defiant almost. It's probably, I think that's what it was, or this energy of like defiance, or like I refuse to take that as an answer. Like I refuse to accept that. Perhaps you were holding on to things, some kind of experience you had in your past or something. Let me see, what else do you have here? Trine, auspiciousness, positivity, and luck. Yeah, it's so I don't know. Maybe this is like for I don't know. Maybe there's like one person that's gonna listen to this or something. um, but it does feel to me because of this positivity energy coming out that for some of you, I feel like you had some kind of epiphany or realization that you were, creating this imbalance within your body, within your energy, within your experience, and perhaps it had an effect on your health or your physical well-being, creating, this tension or some kind of illness or dis-ease or something. And perhaps you were like, I'm not taking that for an answer. I refuse. And I don't know, maybe it triggered something. Perhaps, maybe you went to the doctor and they're like, oh, you're fine. Like, what happened? What is this? I do not get stuff like this. Okay, Taurus, I don't. So I really like this is really strange for me. I hope that whoever it's for, it's resonating. But there's something here about, again, kind of recognizing like the power of God within yourself and choosing different. I'm going to read that law of perfect health for you because I don't know who this is for. And again, this is new for me. So maybe it will resonate or speak to someone. Okay. By drawing this card, it indicates for you to have a new perspective on dis-ease. Your higher self desires for you to know the perfection and blessing of all symptoms. They are they are the wake-up call to align with your truth, Mother Nature, and the universal law. Within you is an innate healer, The body is born with intelligence capable of restoring harmony, well-being, and vibrant vitality. This message is a divine sign telling you it is time to consider cleansing your body and freeing it up from toxins to restore wellness. There is another part of here that I'm being drawn to, which says, when we get out of alignment with our truth, Mother Nature, and universal law, we experience ill health. So again, I just feel, for some of you, again, maybe you had this like epiphany where you are all of a sudden recognizing, God within you, Christ within you, or just God in general. And again, maybe you were backed into some kind of corner or something, and you found yourself praying, crying out to God, and something happened that really just changed your life. Let me see. You also have mirror, who or what is triggering you, which is again really fascinating because you have this practice non-reaction and competition, tension, disharmony, power, activism, vengeance. So for some of you, perhaps it's simply that maybe you were giving a lot of your energy to whatever, who or what was triggering you, creating all this tension and disharmony. Maybe you were even seeking vengeance, and perhaps that took a toll on your physical body. This is, you guys, I don't know who this is for, but I really do not get stuff like this. So I feel like if this is your story, this is something that's pretty miraculous. It probably feels that way. It feels like there's been this sudden change of heart, this sudden realization around engaging in, tension, disharmony, competition, things like this, or, maybe even seeking vengeance on things and really flipping things around and being more positive. Or maybe you were practicing this state of like, I'm just going to stay neutral, but finding yourself getting triggered over and over and over again because you're meant to actually be making moves versus just staying in that disharmony or tension or what have you, staying in that box, right? And really encouraging you to reclaim your power, to align more with positivity. But either way, I feel like for some of you, this was taking a toll on your physical body. We have here as well, warrior woman, have you answered your deepest calling? I feel like whether you're male or female doesn't really matter. Okay, first of all, let me just make that very clear. But I feel like for some of you, I don't know why. I don't know. Oh my gosh, if this is for you, you don't even have to like tell me details, but if you feel comfortable, if you could just say like this resonated, I would be so grateful, because this is not something that I normally get in readings that I do. So for some of you, or maybe one of you, I feel like this health thing, whatever it is, may have triggered something within you to, get out of your comfort zone, take that bold action to like just be adventurous and free yourself, because perhaps it was like, if this is going to impact my ability to freely move about and do what I want to do, I'm going to do it. It's almost this energy of, I'm not just going to sit on my hands anymore or sit on the sidelines of my life. I'm going to go out and do what I want to do. Like, I'm not going to waste any more time, right? Or I'm not going to do something that I don't really want to do. I don't, let me know in the comments, because I'm pretty speechless at this point. Again, I don't really get things like this. So, but it feels to me as though for some of you, there's been this kind of epiphany around, I'm not just going to not do what I feel called to do or what I want to do. Like, I'm not going to waste time, or I'm not going to waste my life, or I don't know. I hope that makes sense for whoever it's for. So how will this impact your journey moving forward? The law of mentalism, get clarity on your core values and commit to what matters. I have chills because I really don't, again, I can't say it enough, I don't get stuff like this. So I feel like moving forward, again, there's this whole kind of acknowledgement of, life is not, at least in this physical form, okay, I believe we have a soul, I believe it's eternal, but our physical bodies don't last forever. And I feel like there's been some kind of slap in the face, right? And I'm not saying that to be insensitive, but it feels like some kind of wake up call where, moving forward, it's like, I'm not sleeping on myself no more. I am going to get up and be the main character of my life every single day. I am going to commit to what matters. I'm going to do what matters to me. You also have here the law of vibration. Practice the art of not knowing and start flowing. Maybe before you didn't move, you didn't do certain things or make certain decisions because there was this fear, right? Again, we have that energy of like boundaries and being cracked open, things like this, being bold or getting out of your comfort zone. So perhaps previously, there was a fear of making certain decisions or doing certain things out of the fear of not knowing, right? Out of the fear of that lack of structure or security or stability or something like that. And perhaps moving forward now, it's like it doesn't matter, right? Because there's this, it just feels like the um what is the word I'm looking for? It just feels like the again, that kind of like, hey, guess what? You don't get to live forever in this body. It just feels like that the realization of that is, encouraging to practice non-resistance, because I feel like for some of you, you may have been very resistant to change, very stubborn. And again, maybe it's just because of that not knowing. But now it feels like moving forward, it's probably going to be more along the lines of, I'm just going with the flow. I'm just living my best life, right? I'm just saying yes. Because I feel like it's like I don't want to miss out, right? And if you've felt like you've been asleep your whole life, and you're, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, whatever it is, there can be the energy of like, I just don't want to miss out anymore. I just don't want to just let life pass me by. I do feel like this realization or epiphany completely transforms how you move in the world, how you view your time here. But I just want to say, I don't feel like this is coming from a place of I'm running out of time. I think it's just coming from a place of I've been just sitting over here and all this time has been passing me by, and I don't want to keep doing that. Like, I don't want to keep not living in my truth. I don't want to keep not doing what I want to do, not having, or let me rephrase. Um, it's essentially putting yourself in this position where you see life as a grand adventure instead of something that is, I don't know, just a waste of time or something. You have here retrograde, reversal, deceleration, and distance. Yeah, I feel like for some of you, maybe you're going to start slowing down, which is interesting. But it feels more like slowing down and just appreciating what you're experiencing, appreciating, your experience, your environment, appreciating life in a different way. It just feels like almost this slowing down in order to be fully in the moment. Yeah. I also feel like with reversal there, when you have get clarity on your core values and commit to what matters, with that reversal energy, I feel as though for some of you, you have done, this complete change of your values and what matters. Like, it's completely different, right? Maybe you felt a certain way and now all of a sudden you feel something completely different. And maybe somebody's like, oh, well, you went back on your word, or I don't know, something like that. Um, but it's just that you just now see things from a very, very different perspective. You also have your North Node, destiny, purpose, and activation. Yeah, I feel, um, as I was reading before we jumped into the cards, right, with that Chiron North Node. Okay, so it's interesting that it's showing up because, again, it does inspire us to activate our own healing. It does encourage us to forge that new path forward, right? Using the wisdom, knowledge, and intuitive truths to align us with our higher calling. And I do feel like for some of you, I don't know, okay, for some of you, your higher calling has something to do with a testimony, right? With your testimony, like, God did this in my life. I don't know who that's for. Take it, leave it. I don't really care. But it feels like that to me. It feels like there's this whole new outlook on life. And maybe there's this level of commitment to your purpose whatever that is, for however long that is. It's a commitment to your purpose here. Maybe you want to figure out what that is. Maybe you have. But it just feels like, how do I say, appreciating life and wanting your life to have that deep meaning, and not wasting time, not wasting life, not wasting this blessing that is existence. So I hope that makes sense. I would also say, interestingly, if your north node is in Aries, I just feel like there's something significant here for someone. Because that Chiron and North Node, that conjunction was in Aries. So I don't know why. I just felt like I needed to say it. So there it is. Take it if it resonates. Leave it if it does not. We have here for you, Priestess. How are you being called to step up and lead? Interesting. Maybe some of you, like I said, I feel like some of you maybe this experience will impact your journey moving forward because you now have this like testimony to share. And maybe some of you are, moving into this position of leadership where you are sharing that story, where you are sharing your experiences, where you are encouraging others to perhaps open up to what's possible or to step into their purpose or something along those lines. Maybe some of you have even committed to God in a different way. I'm not saying that it's necessarily something that you're doing in a church, like four walls and a roof church. But perhaps maybe you have a YouTube channel or a blog or a podcast or something where you are wanting to speak about these things, or perhaps you've been called to do that, or you have been feeling that in your intuition. This is wild. This is probably one of the most wild readings I've ever done. You also have trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? Yeah. Committing to what matters. It's flowing. I feel like for you moving forward, it is all about like Jesus take the wheel. That's what it feels like. Where do you want me? What am I supposed to be doing? What is my purpose? What is my destiny? Okay, we're going to do that. Because again, I feel like something has shifted tremendously for whoever resonates with this, and it's all about saying yes to whatever you feel is coming from, let's say, God, right? Again, maybe you use a different term, I don't know, but I feel like there's something about saying yes to that higher calling, that higher power, right? That is calling you. Yeah, you have transformation. Things are changing at a cellular level, deep healing. Yeah, it feels it feels like something completely different. It's interesting too because even though I know that, I mean, this looks like DNA almost to me over here, like a DNA strand. So again, it's bringing me back to this whole health thing. But I feel like whatever the situation for you, it really just turns your life on its head. It really does seem to just change things drastically. And I feel as though moving forward, that transformation is just going to keep being more and more evident in your life. I feel as though it's going to probably create some really deep healing. And again, maybe even within your body, or maybe it already has. Again, maybe this is the whole cause of all of this, is that, this event impacts your journey in that way where it just transforms your whole life. This is wild. I hope that blesses somebody. I hope that somebody resonates with this because this is just, it's blowing my mind. All right, so the messages or advice to best support and serve you moving forward. Have the law of reciprocity, give without expecting anything in return. There, there's something here about the world mirroring back to you your experiences. Okay, so you have mirror here as well, which is interesting. I didn't even put that together till just right now. Um, but you have there's this kind of energy of like the world mirroring back to you your experiences, mirroring back to you what you are putting out. And for some of you, I feel like previously you may have been putting out this whole kind of um I don't even know, like like conflict, tension, just blocked, hopeless. I don't even know, there's so many words that I feel like you'll know what I'm talking about if it's for you. But I feel like there's something here where you may have been recognizing that the world was mirroring back to you yourself. And moving forward, I feel like the advice is to, understand, like, you reap what you sow, right? You cannot escape whatever it is you put out into the universe. And so I feel like there's this whole kind of, just again, it feels like this has, whatever this is, has completely transformed whoever's life. And I feel like you are just living completely different. And part of the advice for you, or the messages for you, is to, give without expecting anything, understanding that God, the universe, will bring to you what it is you need, right? You'll reap what you sow. And so staying, keeping on that track, I feel. I'm going to read the message for you for this card as well. I just, again, I feel like it's important for someone. Let's see here. Where is that? There it is. Okay. I'm gonna read all of what's here. It says the universe is a quantum field where everything is connected. There is a mutual dependence, action, and exchange between you and the universe. You get what you give, and you reap what you sow. Whatever you send to the cosmos, whether it is good or bad, must be returned. This is the law of mutual exchange. Therefore, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Life is like playing a game of boomerang. Whatever you give to life is returned to you and multiplied abundantly. It is time to open the secret key to abundance: service. You are an infinitely powerful spiritual being capable of miracles, but you must first remove the veil from your consciousness to harness this divine skill. By drawing this card, it indicates for you to consider doing 3 random acts of kindness today. You must not have any expectation of getting anything in return. The same life force that created the stars is ready to be unleashed within you. It's really interesting, again, because I got this feeling of, perhaps for some of you, you are actually now in this place where you are, sharing your testimony, right? Where you are essentially saying, God did this in my life. And perhaps this is, this whole kind of like priestess energy, whether you're male or female, doesn't matter. But this whole kind of, being a testimony to God's grace and God's love is your being of service, right? Is I don't know. This is, take it how it resonates. If it's not yours, leave it for someone else. Okay? But I just it really does feel like a drastic change. I'm I can't even. What else do we have here? The law of intention, give up complaining. I mean, yeah, for some of you, maybe this is where you are sitting, right? In this state of, again, kind of seeing the world with, in a very bleak, gray, negative way. Maybe you were kind of sitting in your own stories. And, again, creating this tension and disharmony and imbalance within your life because you have positivity here, which I feel like is part of where the epiphany comes from. It's part of where the realization comes from, is that, perhaps at one point, you were in this very kind of negative way of being and thinking and moving and speaking. And now it's like, nope, we're not doing that anymore because I now see how that comes back. I understand that law of reciprocity, right? Yeah. I just feel like, something happened. Taurus, please let me know. Please let me know. It would help me tremendously as a reader. Okay. You also have here the law of habit. Ignite your creativity with a pattern interrupt. So really what I want to say about this card, because I actually just had this show up in my membership recently. And that message in the book really talks about those negative thought patterns, negative ways of speaking, all of these sorts of things. And really interrupting that, right? Doing things much differently. And so I do, because you're creating this pattern, as a co-creator and bringing these things into your reality over and over again. And so I do feel that for you moving forward, again, it's like, this is how you create lasting change, right? And it's fascinating that there's give up complaining and the law of habit. Like, I'm going to read it to you because you cannot make this stuff up. You really, really can't. Let me just find this. Give me 1 second. Okay, so you are a creator that imprints upon the automated subconscious mind. What you habitually do becomes the reality of your world. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your feelings. Your feelings become your emotions. Your emotions create the circumstances of your life, and your patterns become your karmic use of the one divine mind. You may experience feeling like it is Groundhog Day. This is the inverted use of the universal law of habit. It might be a good time for a pattern interrupt or a vacation to get you out of your current environment. You are designed to build upon your divine creations, rising in your ability to love, express, and connect. So there's a journal and action prompt, and it says, do something you have never done before today. Take a new route to work, eat at a different restaurant, talk to someone within your community that you normally would not engage with. Begin to notice how much of your life is old patterns, which you have get out of your comfort zone, take bold action with the law of action, right? So it's really bringing this full circle, right? It's really saying, it's again, doing things completely different. And I feel as though, the message here for you is to continue along that path. It's like, don't sink back into your comfort zone, right? Keep moving along this vein. You have here second house, finances, value, and possessions. It's interesting. This is your energy, Taurus. And I feel like there's something here about, again, that safety, that security. maybe being a bit possessive or materialistic or maybe even indulgent. And this is not really something that, again, that I am used to having come through, but I'm going to share the messages as they come through the way that they do. And I feel like for some of you, there may have been that, like, how do I say this? You giving without expecting anything in return, okay, could be almost like an atonement for this kind of materialistic, indulgent way of being. I mean, I know that's not comfortable. I know that's something that most people probably don't want to talk about, but I feel like this is going to best support you moving forward, because it's not about your material possessions. It's not about how much money you have, right? The real prize is being of service. The real prize is, using what you have in service to other people. That's the real prize. So it seems to me that there's this call for you to get out of certain habits, right? To again do things very differently, especially with what you put your value in, which has come through here, right? Because there's this whole kind of energy of, not wanting to waste time, really appreciating life in a very different way. And I feel like for some of you, again, the message or advice is to put value in what matters, right? Get clarity on your core values and commit to what matters, right? Because you give things their value, whether that be your health, God, your finances, right? Your possessions. You are the one that puts value in those things. So I feel like there's something here about getting very clear on what matters to you. And to understand, again, that it's not about those material possessions. It's not about, being, kind of possessive of your things out of fear. You also have here waxing crescent moon, focus, conceptualization, and strategy. Yeah, I feel like, again, it's focused on what matters. I really feel that is the strongest message coming through with this, is focus on what matters, and move accordingly. It's interesting because, we have here, practice the art of not knowing and start flowing. But what's interesting is I feel like part of the strategy is taking that inspired action, and only when you have that inspired action, right? Really focusing on, again, what matters moment to moment, being very present in the moment, and your strategy essentially being that inspired action, going with the flow. And for maybe one of you, there's something here about, if you, let's say you're someone who, wants to create a podcast or YouTube or some kind of community or something around your experiences and being of service in that way, I feel like it's time to kind of start bringing that forward, right? To really kind of focus on making that happen. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. You have here as well water, refreshing, mysterious fluid. So yeah, go with the flow. Go with the flow. I do feel like this for you. Again, you have replenishment here, which for me is giving off the same vibes as refreshing. Um, and mysterious, which I feel like there's an aspect of this that you maybe don't understand fully. And maybe something happened, and maybe all you can attribute it to is God because it's that mysterious, right? Because there's no explanation, there's no rhyme or reason to whatever it is. But I do feel, the message or advice to support you moving forward from this card is to, again, continue going with the flow, letting life be mysterious, right? Practice the art of not knowing. And I feel like it will keep feeling, how do I say, like life will keep surprising you. God will keep surprising you. I'm actually being reminded, which I am not well versed in scripture. I'm just going to be honest. Um, but, Christ talks about being the living water. And I'm definitely coming at this from an Christian mystic type or esoteric Christianity place. But there's something here about, Christ being the living water. And for some of you, this is, I don't know, you found God for some of you, right? And I feel like there's something about allowing that to surprise you over and over and over again. Essentially, life feeling refreshing day after day after day. You have, yeah, you have your awakening, energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. Yes. I feel like, of course, moving forward, there's this energy of understanding that how do I say this? You can always take steps backwards. So first of all, if that does happen for you, okay, if you kind of lose your way a bit, understand that it happens. Give yourself some grace, okay, first of all. Second of all, there is an energy here of understanding that these things, how do I say, some of these things take time to integrate, and we have to be very kind of focused, maybe even disciplined around that, really understanding what's what. And we do have to be willing to give back to ourselves as we integrate things, because energy is fast, matter is not. So in the physical, right, our bodies, sometimes things take time. So there's the realization of that. But I feel overall, the message here for you is you are awakening to a new way of being, or you have been awakened to a new way of being. And should you allow, that's the key word, allow. Should you flow with it, I feel like you will keep rising. Life will keep surprising you. But it is a choice, and that's something that you do have to understand. And you have the Age of Light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. Yeah, there's a remembrance here, certainly. Right, because you do have, again, the law of divinity within you is the same source that created the entire universe. And I do feel like there, we kind of have this amnesia, or the veil is over our eyes, as we were reading earlier. And I feel like, the message here for you is like, hey, this isn't your first rodeo, right? I feel like you're going to probably keep opening up to more, right? Be illuminated to more, should you allow yourself again to continue to awaken, right? This, again, it feels like this is only the beginning. It's only the beginning it's only the beginning of your unfolding. It's only the beginning of your path, of your transformation, right? There's still work to be done. And I feel like this is acknowledging that, right? Again, life may continue to surprise you, to really bring forth some mystery for you and your experiences. But my good God, Taurus, this is nothing. Like, I've never had a reading like this. Certainly not as specific as this. That wasn't a personal reading, but I've never had something come through so strongly in this way. So I truly, truly pray that this has blessed whoever it's for, in some way, shape, or form, has provided some kind of confirmation, some kind of value, or help in navigating whatever it is that you experienced throughout February and perhaps moving forward. I want to thank you so, so much for being here. I'm truly so very grateful for your company, for you sharing your time, energy, and attention with me. It's been a pleasure to read here for you today. I would like to remind you that if something here did resonate for you, please like this video or subscribe to the channel. Certainly comment below if you feel comfortable, or share this content. I really, really do appreciate that so very much. So thank you for doing that. Have a beautiful rest of your month, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Take care of your beautiful, divine, growing, evolving, awakening soul. Peace be with you and within you, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.